Welcome pilots, my name is Hybrid V and I'm here in 3.19 PTU flying my beautiful Nomad as I come into a bunker because I want to actually test out the new FPS AI changes that actually just came out a few days ago. I haven't actually tried it out myself and I kind of want to give it a bash and see how that rolls out. And I'm in PTU despite the fact that it's open PTU, so you could play it right now. All you have to do is just copy your account over, nothing more needed. And it's different from my normal Wave 1 playthroughs, and that's because this patch cycle has actually been quite short in comparison to, say, for example, 3.18, which took a while. And even when this patch went to Wave 1, it was only Wave 1 for a few days before it went to Wave 2, and then eventually it went to everybody after that. And during that time, I've been really trying to sink my teeth into this patch, trying to learn every little nook and cranny that has been added to it. Despite the fact that it's not as chock full as 3.18 was, there is still quite a bit of content here, and I kind of really wanted to dive through and just take my time with it, because I really want to put some quality out. I'm not really in it for getting the initial clicks on this type of stuff, guys. I'm more interested in just trying to put quality out. I want you guys to watch something that you can actually enjoy and take away, and that's why I'm doing this with the FPS AI. I want to test it. I have never tried this yet. I have no idea if this AI is going to function or not. I see all my blue Doritos down there look like they're working. They're kind of teleporting back and forth, so I'm a little concerned, but I mean, let's just dive in. Let's dive in headfirst in this patch and see how this runs. Immediately, there's a firefight up ahead. I'm going to push up. Oh, enemy to the right. I'm going to push up. I'm going to try to get positive ID on everybody because I'm not 100% certain if the Doritos are actually working on friendlies. See if this friendly will take him out. Take him out. He's right there. He's in the... Okay, never mind. I guess the AI would rather take cover than to shoot that guy who was just in the open, not paying attention to him. All right, fair enough. Enemy, I think, back there. Oh, firefight. Okay, so the red guy, the security sees him. I'm going to flank. And he's right there. Oh, no. Oh, okay. That was very awkward. He was like looking at his old position. Make sure there's nobody else coming down. He's looking at his old position where the enemy was, and the guy, I guess, just sidestepped him and just shot him in the face. Not a good look. I would expect the security AI to be at least better than a T-Rex when it comes to its vision. And headshot. Okay, last guy down. But yeah, if I remember in post, I'm going to try to run this back so you guys can see it because that looked very awkward. The guy was like, the security was aiming at his position, moved from cover probably to try to push that position, and then the enemy just literally sidestepped and then just shot him in the side. The security actually reacted. You could see it. He actually reacted for a split second, but it's too late at that point. Like, you're already taking fire, you're dead. But it's just hilarious that the security guy was just looking at his last position there and just did not see the guy just sidestep like a couple feet to the left. It's just very awkward. Okay, I mean, my initial impressions are the AI, it's hard to say. I'll say it's hard to say right now because, well, while that initial engagement there between that security and that Ninetales there where he just literally just sidestepped off was not a good look in my opinion. Overall, the AI was they were kind of distracted with each other. I'd much rather see what it's like when I do one of those bunkers where you're fighting it by yourself against the AI, because those tend to actually, at least when the server's performing pretty good, they tend to provide a pretty decent challenge. And I'm going to take this as a salvage tool on it. I'm going to take that for later because I don't have a Cambrio. But yeah, one of the things that people had talked about is like, oh, the server frame rate is making the AI behave poorly. And to some extent, that's true. But you have to remember that in 3.17.2, they included some additional, I guess you could say, coding to kind of decouple the AI from the servers. So I've already checked the server frame rate here, and the server frame rate is awful on the server. It's like about 5 FPS. But you could see the AI was fighting just fine there. And the reason why is because there's a lot of interpolation and a lot of extrapolation with the AI logic in the background. And really just in plain terms, what that means is the AI is, when they're not getting enough updates from the server, is just guessing in between. They're kind of connecting the dots on what's going on in between, which I guess could lead to situations where, for example, that one AI was staring at the last known position of that enemy and did not see him sidestep. Although I would like to hope that the vision cones would be a little bit better for that. It's just very awkward that the guy just didn't see him. And then it wasn't until he got shot that he reacted. It was very, very awkward. But again, I'm not going to pass judgment on it just yet until I've actually seen a little bit more of this. But hopefully at least you guys kind of see how this is shaking out. Because I have played on servers where it's literally just me or a couple of guys, and it's like 30 FPS, perfect server whatsoever. And the AI can be Terminators at that point. I've literally pre-fired AI around corner that I knew were there, and then they would just beam me in the head, or I would trade with them, and it's incredibly frustrating. So I can see why CIG is making this change. It's just that it's hard to see the full benefits of this change until we can get a much more stabilized server environment where the frame rate is a little bit more up to where CIG standard is. Remember, CIG is trying to aim for that 30 FPS mark for servers, and we never run into that. I mean, we lucky if we even break more than 10 FPS at a given time on a full server. And I realize I haven't actually explained what the actual changes to the AI are. Really simple. They just made the AI far more merciful, especially when they are playing on a server that is much more well-performing and they have all the time in the world to react to you. There's a little bit of grace periods before they shoot you. If they end up hitting you, they don't necessarily are going to keep hitting you over and over. They may end up missing their shots subsequently. It's a little bit, it's the kind of stuff you expect from other games. They have the same system to kind of make combat not too overbearing. Like I said, I've played on high FPS servers before, and the AI can literally just beam you from like 100 meters away as soon as they see you, and it's really annoying and frustrating. Though it is challenging, it is still frustrating when you're trying to be tactical. And I know you're probably laughing if you played any patches previously where the AI are just derping out, like you can just go and start breaking their necks easily without even a gun in your hand. But again, like I said, as this decoupling kind of improves over time, and we end up getting better server frame rate, especially with static meshing or whenever they're going to do some type of form of server meshing, this kind of stuff is going to be very, very important going forward. All right, let's get out of here. And what better way to test out the AI just by yourself and no one else? Well, there's a couple of friendlies there, but they're not really that important. And that is doing the 890 jump missions, the boarding action and progress missions to be more specific here, as well as to test something else that is coming into this patch, because after all, this is a patch run through, and that is salvaging. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to blast some of these AI here that are defending this 890. So this boarding party here has their ship still in the area. So I'm going to go ahead, let off a salvo at these guys and blast them. Hopefully I can soft death some of them here and try to actually salvage some of the equipment they have on board, because part of the new update for salvage now is you can take components and weapon systems from destroyed ships and some ships that are not actually destroyed as well. Let's go ahead and notch those missiles, countermeasures out. I think I just took a hit. I think I took a bit of minor damage. It's kind of annoying. Must have been a proximity fuse warhead then, because I did not look like I was going to get hit by those, but I did anyway. Regardless, let's push this Buccaneer. I think I just completely vaporized that Freelancer, which is unfortunate because I was hoping I was going to soft death him, but I think I just vaporized him. No matter, we'll get the Buccaneer. You will be the target here. Power to weapons. Let's merge in with him. Put some rounds in them, doing some good hits. Let's give the chase. He's still running. Come on, eat your Wheaties. And he's down, and I vaporized him. Whoops. No matter though. That's unfortunate. It makes it a little bit annoying trying to get the equipment here because there may be like weapons and stuff floating out in space, which will make this a little bit annoying. But it's not impossible to do the salvaging here. Now, of course, I don't have a salvaging ship. I did pick up that multi-tool with a salvaging attachment. I may use that here a little bit later. But right now, all you really need to do this part of salvaging is just a tractor beam, which I had brought with me. So I'm going to go ahead and pop out into 0G because I'm going to try to pull some of these guns and put them in the back of the Nomad to sell for later. All right. Give it a second for my character to stop wigging out. So let's switch out to tractor beam module. And I'm going to press B to switch to traversal mode. This is a new mode for the tractor beam. It's the same that you're used to. It allows you to pull yourself, but now there's two separate modes. There's traversal, and then there's just the regular tractor mode. Here is a switch tractor. Let's pull this gun off. There we go. So now I have this Badger. And that's part of the new features. It's relatively straightforward and simple. You literally just point the tractor beam at whatever it is you want to pick up that's on the hard point for that ship, and you just rip it right off. Let's set that down here. Let's switch to traversal. Let's pull ourselves back on over. Find some more stuff to yoink off of this Buccaneer. He's got some missiles. I'll save that for later. Does he have the other wing? No, that wing is gone. So that wing is probably floating around here somewhere. It's a piece of it. I think that's it right there. And there's the guy right there. I may take his equipment later for funsies. Yeah. Oh, there it is right there. So there's the gun, still intact, thankfully. Let's go ahead and take that and put that back on the ship. And what's cool is these parts can actually be swapped out on my own ship if I want to. These are size 1 Bulldogs, though. They won't fit on my ship. I would need to instead get the actual Badger repeaters, which are the size 2s. And I don't have access to those, but I already have Badgers on them, so it doesn't make sense to put them on anyway. Let's go ahead and bring myself closer, pull this off. This is a size 3 Panther, which I could outfit on the chin position of my ship, but I already have 3 gimbaled weapons, so switching 1 gimbal and 1 fixed probably wouldn't make any sense, not unless I can find an additional couple more size 3s around here somewhere. Let's, I guess we could probably grab some of these missiles. May come in handy later. There we go, follow the arrow, pull it off, and there we are. And like I said, all these parts, I can either swap them out on my ship, or I can just sell them. It's very straightforward. As long as they're in the cargo bay, you can store the ship. You can go to any place that takes those type of parts. So for example, a place that sells ship weapons, and you can sell it directly to them for a little bit of cash, which is pretty cool. Like, doing bounties has always been a thing I've always quite enjoyed. I always like dogfighting the AI, especially since like they've been decoupled a lot more from server frame rate, so they're a little bit more fun to fight and play around with. And now, after you've done a bounty, you can just pop down, grab a tractor beam, and start pulling some of the equipment from their ships, and then sell it for later. You can also take components too, such as coolers, shields, power plants. Unfortunately, it does not work for ships that are not gold standard. So for example, the Gladius here is, this Buccaneer is not a gold standard Buccaneer. So the components are not accessible in any sort of way. I can't actually take any of the components until it gets gold standard, until there's actually the housings and stuff for those components. Then I can pull them out. Until then, they are kind of just sitting in the center of the fuselage and you can't actually access them. So until it gets a gold pass, you can't do much about that now. And if you're not sure which ships are gold pass and which aren't, all you have to do is, if they have component housings, if you can find them and access them, then you can grab the parts. If you don't see them anywhere on the ship or inside the ship, then it's probably not a gold standard ship and you can't access those components yet. Let's take this guy's gear while I'm here. Gonna go ahead and loot, and then I'm gonna try to put his flight suits into my inventory. They need to fix the resizing issues with the inventory. It's very awkward. All right, get this guy off here. No free rides. Also, oh, okay. So yeah, I guess that I guess that missile did a lot more damage than I thought. Let's go ahead and I'm gonna put this tool away. I'm gonna put the tractor beam tool back in my inventory, and then I'm gonna actually put the multi-tool away, and I'm gonna put this other multi-tool that I looted, which has the cambio and the canister for the composites, and I'm gonna try to see if I can fix some of that damage. I might as well while I'm here, right? I have the tools, and for a little bit of immersion, we can kind of engage in this process here and also talk more about salvaging. Yeah, so on top of these new changes, there's also the inclusion of salvaging contracts, which you actually will pay into. You get the mission, and then you are able to fly out to that area, and there's going to be a derelict ship there that you can then salvage in any way you see fit. You can do like what I'm doing here, which is to salvage and scrape the hull. You can also take all the components out of it. Again, some of those ships that do spawn are not gold standard yet, so not everything in there is going to be taken, or is going to be able to be removed, I should say. But one other cool factor is if the ship does have a cargo bay, it will also spawn cargo on occasion. And a lot of the cargo tends to be illegal cargo, which is actually really cool because you can sell that for a hefty profit, excuse me. And one of the things that I actually came across is and I always have a trouble pronouncing this, I may have to look it up later, the Osoian or Ososian something hides. I'm probably butchering it. I will try to remember to put text of what it's called later on screen so you can see what it is. And that was selling for somewhere over like 200,000 per pop at a no questions asked terminal. So any of the breaker yards or salvage yards that are on a planet or moon, you can actually land there and sell your illegal goods there. You can also go to Grimhex and sell the illegal goods there too for quite a hefty profit. And that's just on the legal missions alone. Mind you, the buy-in is only 1,000 credits for the legal buy-in. for those contracts, you get access to the location, and if you come across those hides, you just came up huge, and you don't even need a vulture to do that. You can just, all you need is a tractor beam. That's it. The tractor beam multi-tool. You don't even need a scraper. Okay, canister's full. Let's go see if we can actually fix this part of the ship that I damaged. But first, before I do that, because I can't repair when the shields are up, I'm going to go ahead and pop in and take the shields down. There are also illegal contracts, and they have far more lucrative ships. They're much bigger multi-crew ships, and those can sometimes be a player effort. And also there's a timer associated with them. It's usually around 25 minutes. They may tweak it before it goes live, but it's about 25 minutes you have to actually start stripping that big ship apart before enemy AI actually start to spawn in and start to attack you. And I mean a lot of AI spawn in. At one point we had like 5 hurricanes attack us at once, 5 fully crewed hurricanes. It was insane. So it's also pretty cool if you want to stick around and you have a big crew with you and you want to actually fight off another big battle just over that wreck alone. And of course other players can get access to that same wreck and pop in and ruin your day if they want to as well. So that is an interesting bit there. They're considered illegal, but they're really out in deep space where it doesn't even matter, so it's not that big of a deal. Let's see if we can get this piece filled in here. And it's not too bad on the health damage. Here, let's pop out and check the far side. Ooh. The damage is way more extensive than I thought it was. Dang. That missile really chewed up the backside here. I'm surprised I didn't have any thruster imbalances. I guess that goes to show how well the thrusters on the Nomad are very well protected, because they're kind of tucked in the back there. And even with an explosive weapon like that missile, it wasn't very effective at actually damaging that thruster. Though that right thruster, 100% right there, has to be damaged, so I will probably check on that a little bit later. But overall, the damage for the most part seems relatively superficial. I think I lost a little part of that control surface up there, but nothing too crazy. But yeah, those contracts, fantastic, and they're really fun. If you're really not 100% into combat, you just want to make money, you want to maybe experiment with building stuff for your ship, like parts that you want to kind of swap in and out or whatever, it's a good starting point. Again, it's just for the legal missions, it's just a 1,000 credit buy-in, and the mission never has to actually complete. There's a bar that shows how much you've salvaged of the ship. You don't have to actually complete the mission. There's no payout at the end of the mission. The payout is whatever you decide to sell it for. The mission doesn't have to complete. You can just abandon it at any time. It doesn't matter. Because again, you've already bought into it, so you don't need to spend so much time trying to complete the mission. There is no complete state, if that makes sense. So hopefully that makes sense in how I'm explaining it. Again, all you have to do, pop in with a tractor beam, take some of the components, take the cargo, and then you can just leave it there, and you can come back later if you want. You don't even have to waste your time with it. You can just abandon the mission, whatever you want. In my opinion, so long as you're making that 1,000 credits back plus, then you're doing good. You're fine. You're doing wonderful. Of course, if you have a vulture, you can get a little bit more out of it. You can scrape the hull as well as take the parts, though in my testing... Oh, interesting. I can't actually repair that part. I guess that's a control surface. In my testing, the vulture doesn't actually... It has like weird issues with like storing components in the back of it. I tried storing like weapons and other components back there, and then it would cause my RMC containers to actually jam up. It would not actually deploy new containers that I scraped from the hull of the ships that I was salvaging from, because the game kept thinking that the actual container ejector system was clogged up, that there was something in the way. There wasn't anything there, but I think because there was ship weapons in there, it was kind of confused, and it was kind of making it a little bit more frustrating. All right, so I'm out of this canister. I still got more to repair, so I'm going to fill out the rest of this canister with some of this Buccaneer material here. But yeah, salvage contracts, really, really cool. I quite enjoy them. Again, if you just want like a quick buck, you have to fly to that area. You can just pull parts off the ship anytime you want. You don't have to scrape if you don't want to. You can just pull all the cargo out, all the parts, maybe even just leave it there for later if you need to get a ship, or if you have a buddy that has that vulture that can scrape things up. Many ways you can cut it. It's not like a traditional mission where there's a start point and then the end point is you just complete the objective and you're done. It is completely freeform in how you want it, and of course, it's in the open, so other players could potentially interrupt you at any point, or other hostile NPCs can interrupt you. So either way, pretty cool. I highly recommend you guys check that out when it pops up. But beyond the improvements to Salvage, we also got a complete rework of how mining is approached. Everything from the statistics down to the individual deposits, and even the small little side grades and upgrade systems that we had in the past have all been completely retooled and reworked to make a much more equitable but also fun and still very profitable system. Indeed, one of the things that has changed recently is that prospector mining is no longer really the norm that everybody should do as like kind of like the meta. In the past, it was really fun to do multi-crew mining, but there was just no point because you could just do it with multiple prospectors anyway. So there was like no real benefit. Now they've retooled a lot of the rocks now, so that way if you do, like, for example, multiple prospectors, you'll run into the issue of having very unstable rocks that make it extremely difficult to crack. You get that extra power, but the instability just goes through the roof. It's just brutal. On top of also getting that buff for the mole for multi-crew mining and whatnot, those changes also even reflect down to hand mining. If you, for example, decide to do multiple people on one hand mineable rock, it causes massive instability and all kinds of issues. Same with the rock mining. Overall, it's been retooled. On the smaller end of things again, talking about the mining gadgets, I really liked when the mining gadgets first came out, but unfortunately, they really were kind of not that interesting in terms of how useful they can be for a miner. It was cool that you can get out, plant it, set it up, and then mine the rock and get some buffs out of it, but ultimately, if you had the right combination of mining head and sub upgrades, it really didn't matter. You didn't need it. It was just kind of pointless. But now they have not only retooled the buffs and debuffs to make it far more lucrative and much more enticing overall to use, they've also made it so that way you now have a new buff on it. I don't remember off the top of my head what it's called, but essentially what it does is it makes sure that it groups inert materials far more commonly away from the materials that you want. Real quick, if you're not used to mining, when you mine materials, sometimes you're going to get some inert materials, and inert materials is pretty much worthless. And that's really annoying because it fills your cargo hold full of junk that you don't want when you're trying to fill it full of very profitable material. And now this mining gadget gives you the option to actually kind of segment some of that inert material away when you're cracking it, making it almost a necessity if you really want to be super efficient. And of course, not only did the mining heads get retooled with different buffs and debuffs, but also the sub upgrades as well got retooled in that front as well, making it less more about having the correct meta mining loadout and meta sub upgrades and more about having the right combination that plays well for what you're trying to go after. So you can build a combination for your mole that is specifically for hunting Quantanium, or you can build a combination for your mole that makes it specifically easier to manage instability, or one that is for destroying the resistance of a rock. There's many ways you can play with it as your crew, and these upgrades and these changes make it far more interesting and fun. And of course, because we do have the new inclusion of the salvage system upgrades where you can pull parts off of ships, you can also pull mining heads and you can pull sub upgrades off of the ships now if you desire. You can just, for example, carry a bunch of upgrades, sub upgrades, consumables, and you can swap them out on the fly if you desire. There's some issues with that, and I'll talk about that a little bit later as I move on. This has to do with the salvaging and the mining kind of together. When I go to sell some of those ship parts in a moment, I will talk more about that because it's quite an important factor, and I do want to explain a little bit more once we get to that point. But also what we got was a brand new hand mineable in the form of what is called JANALITE, which is a extremely rare but extremely lucrative gem. It's essentially hand mining or rock mining's version of Quantanium. It is extremely profitable. Even just getting a couple handfuls of these gems will make your day instantly. Currently right now, I've only seen them in sand caves. I believe that's where they are propagated right now. I don't think you can find them in the traditional rocky caves, which is well and good because I prefer the sand caves any day over the rocky caves. They're just a pain in the butt to move around in. And what they have also done in the process of adding more to those caves is they added new sand caves. There's a few at Magda, for example, and currently it's probably the most beautiful sand cave. I think it looks amazing, and that's because Magda already has a very unique and beautiful atmosphere and sand coloration for its terrain, so that carries over into the cave as well. Looks very similar to the sand cave that we all know on Daymar, but they've added a lot more of those sand caves around. So if you're a person that's into exploration, these caves do not have any type of quantum marker, so you will have to find it on your own, and it can be very difficult. These cave entrances are not easy to spot, especially from a higher altitude, so keep those peepers peeled. Maybe you'll find it, especially if you're into the exploration. There's a lot more caves out there. There's a few out there that have been found out by some players, but as far as I know, there's still a lot more out there. Just like how, for example, They added something like 40 more rivers to Microtech, and not everybody has actually found all of them yet. It's quite interesting. So if you're an explorer, get cracking. Okay, so let's see how the AI behave here as we come into the 890. Interesting, I noticed the hangar is closed. Normally that's open, and this time around it's actually closed. I wonder if that's a conscious design change. Anyway, let's go ahead and try to get our way inside. There's the fighting. I still see some blue Doritos in there, and they're all dead now, so this is why I said, like, you're pretty much fighting the AI on your own in this map, because the security don't really put up much of a fight. They get taken out pretty quick, which is fine, perfectly fine for me, because I want to test out the AI. First, let's swap out this tool here. I want to put on my old tool with the tractor beam. I could just swap in and out, but I did loot the other tool. There's some weird bugs I've had in the past, and I don't think it's actually in this patch, the bugs where you, like, drop lootable items on the floor. I'm not entirely certain, so just off, just on PTSD alone, I just get in the habit of making sure anything that I bought is what I'm wearing for the most part, just to ensure, God, this EVA is so terrible, just to ensure that I actually have a tool that's reliable and is not going to fail on me in that moment. All right, let's pop in and see what is going on here. Let's open the inner door. Okay. Gunfire's died down a little bit here. So that tells me that it is pretty much just going to be enemies here. 17 out of 20. Let's get a grenade up there. And I have no idea where that went. This is what I get for trusting the throwing arc. I should not be trusting the throwing arc. The throwing arc is so bad and like for throwing items in this game. It never follows the trajectory that it shows, especially if you're on a lower gravity planet or moon. It never shows the actual trajectory it's supposed to be at. Let's check these side rooms real quick, because sometimes the actual transmission panel is in there. These guys don't see me still. I see one guy right there. Can I Kobe this over there? And I don't know if I got anybody with those. Oh, I hear a gun on the ground. I got one. Yep. I got one. A little delayed. All right, let's check over here, because sometimes there is a panel that spawns back here. Nothing over here. I'm going to really quickly sweep across this side here. Sometimes you get one that pops in the back of this bathroom or one of these saunas. Very rarely. I've not seen them in a while there. And check the pool real quick. Pool is secured. Nothing to worry about. Looks like the pool shaders are broken. Seems to. Ooh. Got him. The water shaders for the 890 seem to always break every other patch. Sometimes they fix it and then it breaks again, and then they fix it and they break again. I'm going to check the bar area here. Side rooms, because sometimes it can also spawn in the side rooms. Looking good. I'm trying to go as fast as I can, because I only got a minute here. Hopefully I can... I'm really worried this is actually going to be an engineering. I really hate when the actual terminal is engineering. Because it takes a long time to get down there, and then you got to fight through, and there's so many more rooms you have to clear. So I may not get it. Let me check the service side entrance here. Nope. Sometimes it spawns here. Nope. And let's check the VIP eating area here. What did he say? Doesn't matter, because he's dead now. Let's see. Looks clear so far. Let's check around here. And oh, hello. And he's down. Now, usually it spawns here, and no. Oh my god, it's probably in engineering. Alright, one last place I need to check is the bridge, so I'm going to have to fight my way 25 seconds. Can I get there in time? Let's see. I just got to sprint. I'm going to have to run past a lot. Let's actually see if the AI can actually hit a target moving really fast then. Then I run the corner here. He's down. I'm going to take the guy out who's out in the open first. Okay, he's down. I'm going to try to make a break for it. Yep, let's go make a break for the back entrance. Come on, open, 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 open. There he is. Is it here? Is it? Yes, it is. It's right here. It's right here. Oh, no. Oh, no. I'm too late. And, oh, annoyingly, the bug for the screen is still there, too. So this has been a bug for the A90 for a long time, where if you're too close to the screen just stops working. It just disappears. You have to be like a certain distance for the screen to work. And some weird clipping issues here. Very strange hitbox there. Very awkward. But yeah, so that screen, sometimes if you're too close, it just doesn't work. Like, it just shows nothing, and it's really irritating. It's been a bug for a long time with the 890. I'm going to really quickly check back here. I don't think they really retouched this mission too much. I'm just kind of curious as to see if they put like AI back here or anything like that. I don't think they did. They only have them in very specific areas of the ship currently. But yeah, that's frustrating. I was really hoping I can get to that in time. Maybe if the screen hadn't bugged out, I probably could have hit the button. Maybe, but it is what it is. It's PTU anyway. I don't care about it. It's not that big of a deal. It is just fun trying to actually find that terminal and trying to get it at the last second. But didn't get it. So we're going to have to live with what we got, unfortunately. Yeah, it doesn't look like anything else is too different here. I just had that one AI push forward, and that was it. I'm used to the AI pushing forward. I don't really see too much in the way of their difficulty. They're still kind of a little bit slow to respond. And, I mean, this is just normal behavior I'm pretty used to. I've done this mission countless times before. I will say, though, that at least the AI is behaving a lot more smoothly. At least in 17.2, they've been behaving... That's a little weird. Since 17.2, they've been behaving a little bit more smoothly. Their behavior still leaves something to be desired. I really want them to be a lot more responsive. They don't have to be Terminators, but I just want them to be more responsive and lifelike. There we go, 2 down. Let's pie this corner here. 2 down again. Yeah, he's alerted. That's better than what I've seen so far, but he didn't open fire on me. That cost him. Let's sweep and make sure the rest of the room is clear. Oop. See, that's what I'm talking about, the behaviors right there, right? Like, as soon as I ran to that box, you can hear him make that wild line of that he heard something. It's like, I just shot into the room and just murdered all your dudes, and now you barely just heard something? Like, yeah, I don't know what to chalk that up to. I don't know whether to chalk that up to just poor AI or if it has to do with server issues. Or they just, you know, haven't actually programmed the AI to hear that far. Because sometimes the AI just seem to be just completely brain dead. Like, you'll shoot their buddies in front of them and they just don't react. And sometimes they do. This is, again, the inconsistencies I've talked about before in the past with the AI. Sometimes it has to do with the servers, and other times you don't know if it's actually the servers. Like I said, I played on high FPS servers. The AI behave phenomenal, but they still behave very derpy. They still don't react realistically when they see a buddy shot, especially if you use suppressed weapons and stuff like that. It's just, it's a mess. And they're always working on improving it. And I'm always happy to see them work on improving it. I don't need them to be Terminators. I don't need them to be Tier 1 operators. I just want them to be lifelike. And they're trying to work on it with what they've got. He's down now. I shot that guy. Everybody should be alerted at this point. That guy barely just got into an alert state. So this guy, if there's one more over here, because it says there's one left, he should be ready at this point. Like, if this was a real player, he should be pointed at me and ready to shoot, or at least suppressing this area. And no, he wasn't even ready. I mean, he was aiming his gun. That's an improvement. I would have liked to see him not sit out in the open like a derpy, but he just decided to sit there out in the open instead of taking cover behind the pillars. Because if that were me, and I saw all my buddies just get shot through that door, I would immediately have taken cover behind those pillars. But, you know, can't have everything. Let's go ahead and send the 300i up. Because I can actually take these cannons and put them on my ship to sell them. I'm sure the client for this contract won't mind if I take some of his equipment from his ship that he has here. So I'm going to pop in. Now you have to, when you want to take equipment off of a ship, whether it's a player or NPC that is not destroyed, you will have to unlock your ports. That's a keybind that you'll have to actually map. I'm going to hit that keybind. Now it says ship ports unlocked. So now this ship is ready to have its parts removed. Of course, this 300 is not gold standard, so I can only take the weapons. I cannot take the internal components quite yet. Soon, TM. So let's go ahead and start grabbing these parts. Another big change coming into 3.19 is the inclusion of the Ghost Hollow PvP freeform mission. Ghost Hollow is a wreck site on Microtech, the one that has the Reclaimer wreck there. And you go to that site, clear out the AI as you normally would, but then you would find these terminals called credit extraction terminals, and then there's like a master terminal that you have to activate as well. As long as the comm array is down, you can start activating credit extraction terminals, and then they link up with this master terminal. I believe there's 2 terminals. There may be more than... Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's like 2 master terminals. And the more credit extraction terminals you have active on site, the faster the credit extraction process works. And essentially, it's a bar that ticks up. and it continually will extract more and more credits until you decide to withdraw. Then there is a long process where it starts to withdraw. And then once that withdrawal is complete, it just goes straight to you. Someone else can come in, stop that extraction process and authorize a different user, namely themselves, and then continue the extraction process and then take that money for themselves. So someone can come and shoot you if you're trying to take that money. And then after you're down, they can then authorize themselves and then take the money that was already built up at that point. Once you have withdrawn the money from the terminal, regardless of how much you pulled, because you can pull quite a bit. You can go from anywhere from like 20,000 credits all the way to millions if you want to stay as long as you can. And you can sit there and extract tons of credits. Once you've done that, the terminal then goes into a cooldown. It's around 16 minutes, 15, 16 minutes, something like that. But of course, like I said, there's more than one master terminal. So you can go and utilize both terminals if you want, or however many there are there. And it makes it pretty fun because it's free money that you can get. It's really heart pounding because you have to defend the terminal. You have to also make sure nobody goes and screws with the other extraction terminals. And if someone does take over your spot, you can then at that point lose access to the terminal and the money. So it's this big tug of war. You want to really try to get in there. You could try to do it solo, but it's going to be really hard. I definitely recommend it as a team play option for PvP. And because it only works with the comma rate down, it does ensure that everybody has a good time fighting each other, because nobody's going to go to jail over it. You're going to have fun shooting each other, blowing each other away, and trying to take over the spot. And of course, if you're losing kit, who cares? You're just there to have fun. And we tried it. It was a blast. We had a ton of fun fighting other players over that terminal. Really, really good. Hats off to CIG on that. I do like the kind of take of doing kind of another Jumptown-esque system, but instead of it just being that you're taking something and then trying to sell it, it's just free credits right off the bat there with a few, points of downtime in between that. I really like it. It's really, really fun. You get to fight around Ghost Hollow. There's a lot of terrain differences. You can have really, really cool battles in the air because Ghost Hollow is on Microtech with its thicker atmosphere and heavier gravity. So ships behave differently than, for example, like Jumptown, where it's light gravity and light atmosphere. So there's that whole, thing you have to worry about with that. And it's really fun. I actually quite enjoy it. Actually, these Strike 2 missiles are perfect for my Nomad. I'm going to go ahead and try to rearm my Nomad because I'm out of missiles. I used them in that engagement with the Freelancer and Buccaneer. So I'm going to try to pop these in. First, I'm just going to plant them here because I do have to unlock my ship to allow me to put this missile in. But yeah. Next up on the chopping block I wanted to talk about was the changes to ARCCORP and LORVILLE. LORVILLE being the most massive change thus far. Obviously, we had clouds in the past and some changes to the visuals, but now not only did the visuals get a radical improvement, the clouds not only got also an improvement, but the actual cityscape exterior itself looks phenomenal. It looks incredible. I cannot describe it. It looks beautiful, like something out of some type of dystopian cyberpunk future. Of course, everybody wants to refer to Blade Runner, which was, of course, the inspiration for it. It is very Blade Runner-esque. And also the brutalist authoritarian architecture is being far more reinforced there. Overall, it's a really cool aesthetic for a planet that was one of the first major landing zones that we had. I know people will say Nyx was, but Nyx was more of like a testbed miniature landing site before. And then LORVILLE was the real major one that came in. So it's really nice to see them really step up their game and improve on the visuals. Especially hats off to the Montreal team that worked on it. The Montreal team has just been crushing it. I love all the stuff they've been doing with all the location stuff. And I can't wait to see them work more in a lot more of those derelict outposts and stuff that they're supposed to be putting in pretty soon that they showed on Inside Star Citizen quite recently. So that stuff I'm looking forward to. Montreal's just been crushing it. And I've been in love with their work. I can't wait to see more of it. And of course, next up, we also have ARCCORP, which got a visual improvement as well. It finally got its clouds, which I absolutely love. They are probably the best clouds we've seen in games so far. One of the biggest gripes I had for Star Citizen's clouds is that there isn't enough detail to make them look a little bit more fluffy and more natural looking, because when you look at actual clouds, they have a lot of shadowing because there's a lot of depth going on there. So they create these interesting shadows, so things look you can actually kind of make out the shapes and stuff like that. But with Star Citizen's clouds, we didn't really have that too much. And that's probably for performance reasons and, of course, them improving the tech. But eventually they did nail that down, and you can see the results of that. It looks incredible. It's absolutely gorgeous to fly through. And of course, I think I'm going to host some of the next dogfighting practice sessions with my org on ARCCORP because I absolutely adore these clouds. They're gorgeous, and I cannot wait for them to add weather systems to the game because I want proper rain in game now to go with these clouds. I love the idea of, you know, having this inclement weather systems available, which are coming eventually down the line, so we'll see how that turns out. But these clouds are already a beautiful work of art, and hats off to the team on that all around because it looks incredible. It's so nice to look at. But beyond just ARCCORP, also Area 18, the landing site at ARCCORP, was also improved. Not necessarily radically, but what was improved overall was the signage to help players, mostly new players, navigate the space as they move around. And you can see that clearly everywhere. There's very clear black and yellow signs that kind of guide you to where different spots are. And there's also new signage that kind of have a map system, so you can kind of map out where you're at in the space and figure out where you want to go. And these changes are important because it also feeds into the brand new player experience guide system that has been put into the game for 3.19 as well. Basically what it is it walks new players who choose to do the tutorial, and it walks them through about a 30-minute guide, kind of everything from learning how to interact with the world, how to feed and drink your character, how to fly around, navigate the spaces that you're in, quantum travel, landing, all that jazz is in there, and it's really helpful because Star Citizen has needed this for a long time. I think they were kind of averse to putting a tutorial up because of how much the game changes, but it's been needed for a very long time. Glad to see it, super excited. I know a lot of YouTubers like myself love to make a lot of new player guides and whatnot, and I don't mind still working on new player guides in the future and whatnot. I really only started making guides for newer players simply because Star Citizen just did not offer anything in a way of a tutorial to help new players out. Indeed, like I have told people before, my first experience creating a guide for Star Citizen was because I watched Cobra TV play the game for the very first time and how he was floundering around and whatnot.
Uh-oh. No! I'm sorry. Don't do that. No. Oh, no. I'm sorry. Damn it.
And rather than just, you know, creating a comment to try to guide him through it, I figured, you know, why don't I just make a video? I have the skill set to do it. Why don't I just make a video and guide people through the game? Because it's not just Cobra who's dealing with it. It's a lot of other new players who are trying to check the game out and are just getting frustrated because they don't know what to do and the game just doesn't tell them anything. And yeah, so this new guide, while it doesn't explain nearly everything that Star Citizen has to offer, it's enough to kind of get your toes wet and really experience what Star Citizen has to offer. And then of course, you know, if you need a lot more than that going forward, there's plenty of the YouTube guides out there that will help you out as well. There are some caveats here. It's not perfect. For example, it starts you without a helmet, and then it doesn't tell you how to put on a helmet. I suspect the reason why is because the inventory system is going to change in the future. I don't know how long that's going to be, but it's not too distant future. The inventory that we are used to is going to change, and that's going to come back to what I talked about with the salvage stuff in a moment. I'll come back to that in a moment, but I think that's the reason why they didn't include the inventory and learning how to put on a helmet, because you start without a helmet. So I suspect players trying this tutorial are going to step out into 0G at some point and then realize that they don't have a helmet and die instantly. So I really would like to see them at least tell people how to put on a helmet, but they haven't included it for some strange reason. And again, I think it's because the inventory is changing at some point and they don't want to do extra work. I still think they should do it though. It's very important that they do it. And the other thing is they add some journal entries that have some more in-depth guides on how to travel around the system, trading, and other types of small stuff for the careers like mining and whatnot. But unfortunately, the game doesn't tell them that they should check the journal out. It should immediately after the mission is over, because they have these little hints on the right side, it should immediately tell them, hey, check out the journal. There's more reading material there that you can look up if you want to learn a little bit more about X, Y, or Z here or there. That would go a long way, but it doesn't tell them that, so they're probably, I think 90% of new players checking the game out are going to never look at the journal except for the first couple minutes where it tells you to read the journal. And then after that, they're never going to look at it again. I don't think they're going to check it, because I know from experience, I don't. In other games, I rarely ever check those things out. I only look at what's in front of me, and if the gameplay loop requires me to go in that direction, for example, to look at a journal, then I will probably visit that more often. But if the gameplay loop does not necessitate me needing to look at that area of the game, I'm probably not going to look there anyway. So it would be nice if the game kind of told them, hey, check out your journal, at least at the end of the tutorial. That's my feedback on that, but yeah. Anyway, let's move on here and let's try to actually sell some of these items at Bajini. And of course, one of the big talks of the town, which you can actually see out from the distance slightly up to the right up there with those fireworks, is Invictus, which is coming out this week along with 319. And one of the big talks of the town with Invictus coming along with it is the MIRAI Fury, which is MISE's sub-brand. Now that kind of puts it on par with, say, the Merlin, for example, which also has more offensive capabilities but no quantum drive. So it does require some type of transport to get it to the battlefield. And of course, the Fury is going to be no different. One of the interesting ideas that people have thrown out there is the metrics show that it can fit in the back of several types of ships. For example, it can fit in the back of a Nomad, it can fit in the cargo ports for the Caterpillar, of course it can fit in a Carrack. So there's ways to get it onto the battlefield, and it's going to be quite interesting because it is a very combat-focused ship. It is very aggressive. So imagine, coming across a Carrack or a Caterpillar, and then you try to attack it and surprise it. Next thing you know, those bays open up on the Caterpillar and all this angry swarm of bees come out to attack you. And because it's that half human, half Geontech of MISC, I really expect this ship to perform insanely well. This thing is probably going to be very hard to shoot in combat in a nose-to-nose engagement. I think its maneuvering is probably going to be incredible, even better than the Merlin possibly. But we'll see. I do want to actually get this in my hands and try it out for myself. Me personally, I'm not too much into snub fighters, but I like the idea, the concept of it, especially the gunfighter version. But I'm very, very far more interested in the MX version, which is the missile variant. And it's kind of billed as a snub bomber, although it's just carrying normal missiles now. I do think in the future, possibly when we have more air-to-ground weaponry, including smaller bomblets, we will have something like that as the default loadout for this ship. One of the other cool features it has is the ability for it to actually pull down a blast shield, and that's going to give it more forward protection because, again, this is billed as a bomber, so it's going to be striking a lot of ground targets, and it's going to probably be taking a lot of return fire from infantry and other anti-air assets or anything on the ground that can shoot back at it. So having this blast shield in front is going to be super important. And that shield is going to have some reprojection technology, so it has cameras on the front so you can clearly see outside while you're protected by that thick armor. That armor is going to make this ship very sticky because even in a space engagement, having a missile boat is going to be really irritating, and ships trying to attack it from the front while it's trying to back up and shoot missiles at other targets is going to have a hard time trying to snipe the pilot out with that front armor. So it's going to be quite an interesting ship, and I look forward to actually trying these out in the verse soon when Invictus comes around and they start letting people grab a hold of these things. Interestingly enough, so far in this PTU build of Invictus, we haven't actually seen the RSI Lynx, which is billed to come in for 319. We've only seen the Fury so far. We know that the Lynx has been scheduled and confirmed to come into 319. The Fury is kind of like the secret surprise that's coming in, and that's also, it looks like it's pretty much going to be flight ready. I think the Lynx will probably also be drivable ready as soon as this patch comes in, but we haven't seen anything of the Lynx yet, so very interesting. And the last thing I wanted to talk about, which has kind of been the elephant in the room for a lot of people, and that is the idea that we can sell salvaged weapons and components. That's well and good, but the idea of taking items that are weapons and components that you salvage and putting them in your inventory and then pulling them out later is actually something we can't do right now, and that's been quite a disappointment to a lot of people. CIG have kind of advertised this patch as being a way to allow us to rearm missiles or swap components on the fly, and while we can to some extent, we can't take anything from our personal inventories. So what I mean by that is, let's say I have my Gladius and I want to put cannons on my Gladius. Cool, I have cannons in my global inventory. Well, I can't put it on my Gladius unless I use the vehicle manager app. Okay, that's kind of jank. All right, whatever. What if I find a cannon out in the field, I salvage it, put it in my cutter, and I go back to Bajini or wherever I'm at, and I decide I want to put that cannon on my Gladius? Well, you can't put that cannon into my global inventory, therefore I cannot put it on my Gladius in the vehicle manager app. I have to instead jankily go outside the station, leave the cannon floating in space, then pull my Gladius, get my Gladius out there, and then put the weapon on the Gladius, assuming I had taken the weapons off in the first place. It is just very, very jank. So for example, if I looted all these weapons, I can't store them in my inventory to save them for later. I can't buy a bunch of missiles and then drop them in the back of my freelancer to then give to my friends when they need missiles when we're doing Jump Town. And it's all very jank and frustrating, but why is that? Well, actually, there's a reason for that, and it's because we're missing one crucial piece of the puzzle, and that is freight elevators. If you remember a while back, freight elevators had gotten delayed a couple of times, and it's quite a significant feature that we need to kind of connect these two pieces together. Let me explain. So the way freight elevators is going to work, it's going to be kind of the connecting joint between the physical world and, say, our global inventory. Let's say I have my Gladius and I want to put cannons on it. I have cannons in my global inventory. I go into my hangar, I request for those cannons to be delivered to me. The freight elevator will then take those cannons from my global inventory, deliver them to the hangar, which then I can take the weapons off of my Gladius, put on the new cannons, and then take the old weapons, put them on the freight elevator and store them, and they will be back in my global inventory. A much better system, especially a system where I can buy missiles, for example. Maybe down the road we'll buy ammo, and we can have those delivered from our inventory into our personal hangars where we can outfit ships, or I can put missiles into, say, my freelancer to be a restocking ship for, say, Jump Town or whatever. But we don't have that yet, and we don't know exactly when it could be. Maybe it'll be in 320 with the whole sea coming in, but we don't know exactly. We'll have to wait and see. So yeah, it's a little jank, it's a little annoying. We're kind of missing that crucial piece, but soon, TM, this is going to make a lot more sense. All right, let's go ahead and sell these weapons here that I looted from the salvage, and there we go. A nice, tidy little bit of profit. That is everything in the back of my Nomad gone. And now I can go get myself a nice, well-deserved snack for a fine day's work of doing some salvage and some mercenary missions. Let's go ahead and find something to eat, shall we? And that about covers it for 319 in the PTU, going live this week, probably before Thursday when Invictus is going to start. Heck, by the time you watch this, it probably has already gone live. Regardless, hopefully I got everything that you were interested in 319 documented here. There's a couple other things here and there like new clothing items and stuff like that, but I'm more focused on the meat and potatoes, so to speak, of what's coming into this patch. Alright folks, that's it for me today. I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, please leave a like, as it really does help out the channel. And of course, if you want to see more stuff like this in the future, subscribe. Until next time, fly safe and I'll see you all in the black.